All right, guys, quick review video for your big quiz tomorrow, First of all, these words, you've got to know these words. Make sure you see them. Consistent, at least one solution. If so, it has an answer, it's consistent. Inconsistent, no solution. If you write inconsistent, that's all you write. Independent has exactly one solution. Dependent, infinite. I'm going to give you some graphs, or even if you solve some, you're going to have to tell it sometimes. So if it has one, like these two lines intersect in one point, which means there's one solution, which is right there where they intersect. So you would write consistent because there is a solution, and you're going to put independent because there's exactly one solution. The second one, the two lines are parallel, they don't intersect at all, which means there's no solution because the solution's always where they intersect each other. The third one, even though it looks like there's one line, there's really two lines. It's the same line, or the lines are right on top of each other. So that there isn't a solution, it's consistent, and because the lines are on top of each other, they intersect in an infinite amount of points. That's what infinite solutions look like. So that's dependent, consistent, and dependent. And that's best I can do on those. Make sure you know the words. You're going to have to solve some by graphing. So what you have to do when you solve by graphing is you're going to need your calculator. And I'm getting mine open right now. And what you're going to do is you got to get y by itself. So what I did, it takes two steps, remember. Move the 5x over like that, and then divide by the -2. So that's what you see here. Make sure you put the top in parentheses. Same thing on the second one. Move the x over, then divide by -3, which is what you see here. Again, make sure you do parentheses. So I'm taking my calculator right now if I can get to work. Let's see. Okay. Okay, got it working. And once you punch that in, go ahead and hit zoom 6 to graph it. And then I'm looking for the intersection points. So remember, well, I guess I should, hit second, calc 5, enter. And it tells me they intersect at -1, -2. And on your quiz tomorrow, you're going to need to draw the graphs on your picture. So you got two options. You can graph these like you see them. You can do cover, or do slope-intercept form, or you can just draw a rough sketch. They got to intersect at -1, -2, which is right there. One of them's coming down like that. The other one's kind of doing this. So you can do a rough sketch like that, or you can actually graph the lines like you know how to do. Okay, here's an example of elimination. You can't do substitution because you don't have a variable with a 1 coefficient. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the whole top equation by 2. And what happens when I do that is that's going to give me a positive 6x for my first term, which is great because it's going to cancel with my negative 6x down here. So multiply everything in the top equation by 2, 6x, 12y, and 34. Don't forget the right-hand side, by the way. And just bring over this equation. Now, remember, sometimes you do have to multiply both equations to get stuff to cancel. So don't be surprised tomorrow if there is one you have to multiply both equations. The 6x's cancel. If you add your y's, you get 9y. If you add your numbers over here, you get 21. So I get y is 21/9. Reduce that. That reduces down to 7/3. Now, you got to find your x. So I'm going to take, even though it's a fraction, I'm going to take it and plug it in right there. Actually, that's good. So I'm going to go -6x minus 3 times 7/3 equals -13. And what happens here is my 3's would cancel. So I get -6x minus 7 equals -13. Move the 7 over, which is going to be -6. So x is 1. Might have been better to get the 1 first. So the answer is 1 and then 7/3. And you can check that, guys. Two things you can do to check. This is to me to you. You could plug that number back in, see if you get it in there. Make sure it works in your equation. Other thing you could do is you could solve that by graphing on your calculator and make sure you also get 1/7/3. You should get the same answer. All right, let's do one where you have to graph and shade. This is a system. We did one in class today where you had 3 variables, 3 equations. So I'm going to do one on the video where you have absolute value. So I'm going to take this one right here and cover, which means I'm covering up the y right now. I know you can't see it, but if I divide 5 by 2, it's going to cross the x-axis at 2.5, 5/2. It's going to cross the y-axis at 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be a broken line. It's going to look kind of like that. Kind of made that work. All right, plug in 0, 0, see where to shade. 0 plus 0 is less than 5. That is true for sure. So I'm going to shade towards the 0, 0. over here. And then I'm going to do the second one. Now the second one is going to be absolute value. It has a -1 inside. Go opposite to what you think sideways. So I'm going to go to 1 over here. There's a 2 in the front of my absolute value, which means you're going to rise 2, run 1, rise 2, run 1. Draw your V. It's a broken V. And it's kind of going right along with that first one right there. I mean, the same. It's parallel. So figure out where to shade with the V. So I'm gonna try 0, 0. I'm gonna try that point right there. If I do that, I get 0 over here. If I put 0 right there, that gives me a -1 inside. The absolute value of -1 is +1 times 2. So I would really get 0 is greater than 2. That is not true. So I'm not going to shade outside the V. I'm going to shade inside the V, which is everywhere in here. So what I'm looking for is where did I shade twice? And the part I shaded twice is in between these two lines right here. That's really good. I'd make sure I knew that one for tomorrow. I want to show you one of these, an inequality with a system without money. Remember what we talked about? Whenever you have a system involving money, you do one equation with the money, one without. So this first one says you work at most 20 hours a week. So I'm going to go x plus y. At most means less than or equal to 20. Make sure you know that tomorrow. At most means less than or equal to. Then it says you need to earn at least 92. At least means greater than or equal to. So this is going to be the money equation. That's money. The other part's money. Your dog walking job pays $7.50 per hour. So $7.50 times that x, $6 times that y, and that's all the money. So there it is. Now, on your quiz tomorrow, you may have to graph those. I would just do cover, and I'll tell you the one on your quiz works great. You can cover and graph your intercepts, and you'll be just fine. One more. Last thing I haven't shown you is substitution. And what you need to do substitution is find the variable that has a 1 as a coefficient, which in this case is the y. Move the 2x to the other side, so you get this. You get y equals 7 minus 2x. And now you're going to do your substitution. You're going to take this 7 minus 2x, substitute it in for the other y right there. So it's going to look like, let me change colors. It's going to look like 3x minus 4. But instead of putting my y, I'm going to put 7 minus 2x, because that's what y really is, equals 5. 4 times 7 is 28. -4, -2 is 8x equals 5. 3x and 8x is 11x. If I move the 28 over, it's 33. So I get x is 3. Now, don't forget to find the y. Plug it back in. I'll plug it in there every time. Once you solve for y, it becomes easy. It's just like y equals 7 minus 2 times 3. Oops, that's not equals. That's a minus, which is just 1. So my answer is x is 3, y is 1. And again, hint, hint, you can plug it back in. I would tomorrow, see if it works. I'm looking at this. It definitely works in there. And it also definitely works in there. It doesn't take but just a second. But you can also graph it on your calc and see if it intersections at 3, 1. All right, so lots of ways to check those. Don't forget the words. Hope this video helped you a little bit. Watch it as much as you need to. And I'll see you tomorrow. Come in for help if you need it.